explain to Fanos what we're doing as well.
Hey, Fanos, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Tim. Yourself?
Yeah.
Have we spoken before, Tim?
Oh, we did last year when all this lunacy broke loose. And I think we spoke earlier than that, a little while back, on some constitutional matter or something, but mainly last year when all this lies and deception started. But you've probably spoken to 10,000 people and maybe more, and so I'm not expecting, and I've grown a beard since then, so I'm not expecting you to remember nor recognise.
No, I think we spoke on the phone. Do you have a son as well? What's your son's name?
Yeah, Ben.
Bernard?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. I thought so. I put together the dots. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's in Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, Fanos? Like, how are you traveling? You okay?
Yes and no. It's like, what do you do for your future, considering your future is this it's not exactly, what's the word I'm looking for? It's
hard to predict.
Yeah, it's unpredictable. I've just had a brain fade there for a second. Yep. Yeah, there is no absolute in terms of what's happening moving forward. Everything's just up in the air.
Yeah.
You don't know whether your vaccine status soon is going to even allow you to go grocery shopping. Right?
Well, that's true. However, it's like I've always said, there's always another way. There's always another way. So what happened, Fanos, was when I came across the QMS, I'd been a long time advocate for a direct representative system whereby the people literally tell the government what sort of country they want. They don't have the country dictated to them by lunatics. And so a direct democracy had always been, for me, for probably 30 years, the best option. But the technology was never there to be able to pull that off. And we're still in a situation where we have to overcome the system as it stands. And the best way to overcome the system is via the people. Now, you and I writing letters and 10,000 others writing letters and petitions and stuff, they just go in the round receptacle, that they get filed in the round bin. Whereas when we get people who en masse put up a process that says, hey, we have no confidence in you, stand down. And if we can do that with the majority of people in the majority of states, they literally have to stand down, right? Now, some people have said, well, they won't. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But from the QMS's perspective, imagine, and it was good that you mentioned about an uncertain future. Imagine a system whereby the people actually design their own future. So the future direction of the whole country at every level could be determined by the people via an app locked into the blockchain, so as it can't be hacked. It's not a Dominion voting machine. And in doing that, there's an enormous amount of work to be done. But if we spread that workload out over many, many people, then it doesn't become a whole lot of work at all. But I think what we need is some voices that resonate with the people. They don't need too many old farts like me in the game. They need your generation. They need the people who've got a long future in front of them that want to make it their future, not some foreign corporation, foreign bankers, some God only knows who's hiding behind a bloody cloud of mystique saying pull this string, pull that string, and watch Australia spin. We don't want that anymore. We've had that now for too long, far too long, for nearly a century too long. And so the QMS is a system, a tool. It's not a method of government, as in throw out the old government, put in the QMS. The QMS is not a system of government. It's a system of choice. It's a tool that gives the people the opportunity to have their voice heard every day. And the way I would understand it, based on how the Constitution sits, we would still have to have a type of parliament, and we would still have senators in each state. But the parliament would have to react to the referendum that's held every week, every month, whatever, on whatever the people say. And they don't get they will not have the option to dismiss the referendum. They will have to enact the referendum. But we've got a lot of people out there who, like yourself, you're just, I'm going to call it disarray, because like you said, there's nowhere where you can point to your future. So the best way, if you want a future, let's design it ourselves. Let's build our own future. Don't worry about what somebody else thinks they're going to call your future. No. We build our own future, and we need to have millions of people singing the same song. Now, if we look at Klaus Schwab's operation, if you get down deep into the bowels of the Global Economic Forum, they got a spider web table down there that's horrendous. But one of the comments they make is that the biggest holdback on one world government is national pride or populist politics, i.e. the Trump phenomena in the US. We need to have a movement here on the ground that says, here we are, Australia, we are one people, we're going to take control of our own destiny, and the rest of you can get stuffed. And so in doing that, we need to give people a method to be able to have their voice heard, and that's what the QMS is.
Okay.
Yeah, so people raise policy within the QMS, they add weight to it. They can be part of the, we've got a transparency part to it where as the policies are developed, they're all posted back to a news feed. And basically when enough people want that particular policy, it goes up for the referendum vote through the voting act that we've got. So that's the system and process that we've been designing. That's a simplified version of it. With relation to having a parliament, I see that as we've got to have something to implement the changes to policy as the people put them through. I just use the term public service at this stage because, just for want of a better term, I don't like politicians. I don't like the idea of a two-party political system, much the same as the other guys. And as far as I'm concerned, we don't have a voice. We've never had a voice. So for the first time in Australian history, we can give the people their voice. We can hear what they want to say, and we can design the country based on what the masses want within the country. Now, the beauty of doing it this way is with the transparency, every policy needs to be examined by the public. So it educates the people on the way to as the policy is being developed. And basically, I'd love to see a system where the law system is based in common language and common law and natural law. I'd love to see a healthcare system where we have an option to have holistic health as much as general practice medicine, and I'd like to see all of those things tested and measured to see what actually is good for us and what isn't. You know, an education system where we teach our children to think critically and be free thinking, rather than lock them into boxes and, you know, create factory workers, which is essentially what our current system does. the freedom to believe what you want to believe and to be who you are, and to follow whatever path you're on. Obviously, we've got to have basic rules. You don't want, pedophiles, murderers, rapists, and that sort of thing running around out there, or thieves. But I think with 9 million pieces of policy that we currently have, it's too easy to run afoul of the law without even knowing it in our current situation. So I'd like it made more simple so that people can understand it and that it actually works for the Australian people. So there's a lot of work to be done. That's not the job of the QMS. The QMS is the tool on which people can do these things. As Tim mentioned, we're not a political party or organisation. I would like to see a politician's the same as a beautician. A beautician sells and creates beauty. A politician creates policy and sells those policies. So I'd like to see the word politician stricken from the dictionary and replaced with the Australian people. Because I think at the end of the day, we don't really need to have houses within senates and all that sort of thing to make decisions for us when we've got the tech, as Tim mentioned before, but we can do it ourselves. So that's basically what the QMS is, and we're looking for people to align with us, to sign up, become members, to bring their friends and family on board. We do have a way to introduce what we call a people's initiated referendum. It's not something I'll talk about too much publicly at the moment, but we've got ways to sort of bring everything forth that we need to do to free the country, and it could be done pretty quickly with the support of the people. So it's a matter of taking the will out of the current system and getting it into a new system, and we believe we've got the system to do that with.
Look, listening to it all, it sounds fantastic. And I said this to you the other day when we spoke, Graham, that, in a perfect world, it would work. It's fantastic. But I also said that the government's corrupt as. They're all corrupt. Every level of every institution in our country is corrupt. And like at the moment, I said that this isn't a danger to them. That's why they haven't tried to intervene. But the moment this grows to a point that it's a danger to them, they will be raiding. They'll be knocking on every door. They will cut this thing down so quick because the whole thing's corrupt. And I've said it in the beginning. It's not that I don't believe in the system. I don't believe that we have enough time with where the world's going to even make something like this happen. And I don't believe that we live in a world that's honest enough that they'd let something like this come about. And also my other problem is that 3/4 of the population doesn't believe there's anything wrong.
Well,
they're in this state of, Stockholm syndrome, where they're applauding their captors and they're glorifying them.
Well, Fanos, see, if we look at this, you're right on everything you've said, basically, that the corruption is so deep and wide, you won't drive a boat over it. The majority of people are dumbed down to the point where they will applaud their captors and they'll bow down and they'll do everything they say to do. That is both a good and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because they're doing it, but the other side of it is it shows that they will follow whatever the populace say. Now, if the populace, if we just all of a sudden, what would happen in your mind if, let's say, there was a Nuremberg style case here in Australia that pulled every politician, every bureaucrat, every corrupt doctor and medical practice, and showed the whole thing as corrupt and as ugly as the whole thing is? Do you think a lot of those Stockholm syndrome people would go, oh, hell, we better get away from this? I think they would, right?
Yeah,
why? Because the majority of people are good-hearted people, and they don't like to see in their own, if it was pointed out so blatantly that there were certain people in their society who they'd held to a high esteem, all found to be absolute murdering arseholes,
Yeah.
they distance themselves from that so fast it wouldn't be funny. So this isn't the only approach. This is the tool that we will use on the far side of this. But we've got to put it together today. We've got to build it now. It's like dig your wells before you need a drink. We should have been digging this well 10 years ago, right? But if we put the system in place, so when the people flip, we've got somewhere for them to go, a method to let them have their voice heard, a way of being that they've never experienced before. Now, there's a lot of work to be done on the other side of this in bringing out the criminality, but there are some things going on. One is the Reinhard Filmic in Germany, the big new case in South Africa, and there will be something kick off here. And when they bring all this corruption and just mayhem and satanic crap to the forefront, and it's put in front of people, what we're going to have to do is be aware of the emotional and social shock that that's going to cause, because all of a sudden all these people have to realize they made a mistake, and people don't like that, right? The emotional shock, the social shock, the anger that they're going to feel toward their once captors. We're going to have to be aware of that. And so again, if we've got somewhere decent and honest and totally transparent for them to go to change the system, they'll change it so fast your head will spin. But we've got to have the system ready to go. And to do that, we're going to need some people. And yes, in the meantime, there might be some door knocking going on and whatever. You know, history tells us that. We can't be oblivious to it. But the whole saying is that, you know, it's never been the majority that's ever changed history anywhere in the world. It's always been a small group, dedicated, visionary people that can see that what others can't, and we're prepared to stand where others won't. And that where that standing is, I can tell you, it's on bloody scary ground. It is scary, right? But what am I supposed to do? Tell my grandkids to do what I wasn't prepared to do? You know, I can't turn around to these little kids and say, well, look, I'm shit scared. I'm sorry, I can't do this. When you grow up, I hope you're braver than I am. I can't do that. You know, I don't know. I just can't. And so if I've got to stand on scary ground, so be it, we stand. If we get a smack across the head and dragged off, well, so be it, we stood. You know, at least we'll be in good company. Right?
The more of us that stand together too, the more chance we've got. And we do have quite a big following at the moment. Obviously, we want to grow that. There's safety in numbers. The more people that come on board, yes, the more we will be looked at. But once we achieve certain numbers, we become untouchable too. So,
yeah. So, you know, if they took Graham and I out, well, then there's you and 10 other blokes to come in behind us. If we've got the numbers, you can't take out the leadership because everybody's leadership. You can't shut down the system. It's in the quantum, right? It's on blockchain. You can't shut it down. You know, they can't. Yeah, they can try and scare the crap out of everybody else, but war is always like that.
and
War is,
taking us down, as Tim said, there's plenty of people ready to step up. There's a big following on what we're doing. A lot of people really want this there. So it'll happen regardless eventually. And if you go out and actually poll people and ask people in the street, do you trust the government? We're getting 99.98% of them. Matt Wilson's been doing it with us as well, and he gets a similar result. But 99.98% of them are saying no, they do not trust the government. So it may not be that hard a sell to the population. I mean, when you think about the other issues like fracking and taxation and healthcare and that sort of thing, and aged care. There's a lot of people out there that aren't part of the movement that are very, very dissatisfied with those issues alone.
Yeah.
So if you think about it and you think about what the masses actually think, I mean, don't just assume they trust them, because most of them never really did before now. And now they're actually seeing a lot more reason not to trust them. So we can give them a system that has integrity and is fully trustworthy, then I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer when you're faced with the option. So our second question, our follow-up question to people after they tell us no, they do not trust the government, is would you consider an alternative direct democracy system that was run by, of and for the people? And they say yes, of course we would. So everyone wants to have their voice heard, and so far it hasn't happened. So now's our time that we can actually give back people a voice, control, which will lead to things like wealth, security, safety, and a greater community, the connection through community, all that sort of thing. We can take away, the way I like to look at it is that our government are puppets, and we know who controls their strings. It's not us. We're really just the audience. You cut the strings of the puppet, the audience gets to make its own show, and the puppet master's now powerless. So that's the way I tend to look at this. And as I say, we do have a good way of bringing this forth. We just need people's commitment, and very soon we're going to start putting together. We need some assistance with donations to put together some money to help bring this forth too. But we're a lot closer than it looks. And yet, Tim's right, there's still a lot of work to be done. But we're getting more and more support, more and more people volunteering to help us with various aspects of it. And at the moment, our biggest issue is trying to coordinate all that and get people into the right areas and make it all actually happen. So the actual system itself isn't that hard to build. Most of it's there, as I mentioned. It's just a matter of structure. So creating systems, processes.
Just Fanos, one of the things, Graham mentioned about the polling of the people, do you trust the government? I don't mention the mask, I don't mention the shot, I don't mention any of that stuff. I just say to them, when you look around the nation today and the mess that we're actually in, do you trust the government? Well, no, right? Always it's no. Occasionally you'll get, oh, well, they're doing the best, right? But that's rare, okay? Now, and then I say to them, well, what about a direct democracy? Well, how would that work? And I love explaining this one, because this affects every single person in the country, is taxation, right? If you had a choice, if there was a referendum and there was choice of three, you could leave the taxation exactly as it is today, or you could leave taxation exactly as it is, but take out all personal income tax. Or choice three, you could take out all taxation, petrol tax, tobacco tax, income tax, company tax, GST, take it all out and replace it with a 2% input tax and a 3% output tax. So you've got a maximum tax of 5%. But every major corporation, from Google to BHP to all the multi-billion-dollar guys, if they want to operate in this country, they have to go through that process. We would have 5 times the amount of tax revenue that we have today. Which do you think you would prefer to have? And everybody goes, well, shit, I'll take the 5%. Okay, that's what a direct democracy is capable of providing, but you have to stand with it. Right? Now, that's an example. Right? Like Graham mentioned, we got millions of pieces of legislation in this country. We are the most, apart from communist countries, we are the most overridden people on earth. Well, okay, Kerry Packer, although I don't like the man, he got it right. For every piece of legislation you want to bring in, you've got to get rid of 3. Right? You want to bring another piece of legislation in, you've got to get rid of 3 others. And on that taxation thing, imagine that the ATO would no longer exist in this country, what sort of relief would that be to people? These are the things that we can do. Imagine, Graham talked about getting rid of the puppet masters. Well, the puppet masters are the international bankers, right? The Bank of International Settlement, the Rothschilds, all these guys, right? Well, what about if we had a currency that was based on every bit of mineral in our ground, copper, iron, uranium, the whole lot, all the agriculture and all the fishing and everything, all that sort of stuff. If our currency was based on that, it would have a real value. It wouldn't be fluff money. Imagine what sort of country this could be if there was only a 5% flat tax. We had our own asset-based currency. We controlled our borders. We would have enough money to buy the best weaponry on the planet to protect ourselves. And we would protect ourselves. Australia we are at the point, and I hate where we are, but we needed to go here to wake up as many people as we have. How many, Fanos, you've seen it, mate. How many of your friends have become highly educated in so many different aspects, whereas 3 years ago, they didn't have a clue?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We had to get this. We didn't probably need it as bad, but maybe we did. This wake-up call to hit the conscience of people. And even the people that have taken the shot, I mean, most of them have taken it under protest. They need their job. They've got to keep their mortgage, all the rest of the stuff. You know, I feel so sorry for those folk. But when the truth comes out of how badly they've been bloody lied to and duped and everything else, you watch them turn against the government. They will look like bloody vipers going at the government. You wait and see.
Not only that, with 18 million electoral aged people in the country, there's 18 million ideas out there on the best solution for everything. When you've got less than 0.5% of the population controlling the country as they currently do, you're getting less than 0.5% of the potential ideas for the structure that the country could operate under. So what this opens up is the diversity of ideas that come out of intelligent people who may not be rich enough or achieve the right level of recognition within the areas where these policies are determined. And at the moment, you know, they're paying experts to say what they want them to say. They're not. We've got a way that it can all be transparent. People can put forth their ideas, and the best ideas are always going to rise to the top. And I think that's far more valuable than letting a very small group of people dictate how we live based on what is going to get them re-elected or what is going to put the most money directly into their pocket rather than the pockets of the people of the country. So there is a lot of work to do. We know that in order to get the country that we should have. And I believe we should have that country already if we had honest politicians, but we never have had, and we're not going to get honest politicians. Politician, lawyer, those people, and you know, parking inspector, they sort of fall in the same category for me. That you know, it's not a job I could do or would want to be part of. It's, to me, they're very, very evil people. They're liars, and they take from the public. I used to have a lot of respect for the police, and I would like to have that respect returned, because I think the police force is very important to keeping a country safe, as is their army. But in the current environment that we've got, where they're controlled by a government that isn't controlled by the people, they've been put in a position where they have to do what they have to do to maintain their jobs. And that's going against what the people need. And their role used to be to serve and protect. Now it's to uphold the right. And we know that the right, basically, here in Victoria especially, is the Labor government. It's just, and in any other state, what's the right? You know, and who's right? And who determines that?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I totally understand where you guys are coming from, what you're trying to do, right? And as I said, in a perfect world, I believe in it. in a world that's not full of, you know, corruption, I believe that something like this, you know, 100%, let's get on board and make it happen. But my problem, and I said this, I expressly said this to you, Graham, when I spoke to you. I said I'm going to give you my honest answer. I'm happy to, you know, put it out there and let people make up their own minds and, you know, get involved if they'd like to. But, you know, I'd ultimately make a decision, speaking to you guys today, right? And I need to make something clear. It's not that I don't believe in the system. It's not that I don't believe it could work. I don't believe that the system we're currently under would let it work.
Undoubtedly, they'll.
That's my thing. The moment you try and raise funds or whatever you're trying to do, the moment they see you're a danger to anything they're going to do, the media is going to come after this. They're going to paint you in a certain light. They're going to say you're trying to get donations for a certain reason, right? And they're going to completely just change whatever this is and turn you guys into just the biggest quacks. And they're going to attack you like the moment they see you're a threat.
That's okay. I
now
attacked before.
What my thing is about this is that how do you implement something like this to the people? How, you know, like you've got 7,000 now, right? That's pretty good in the scheme of things. But that's not nowhere near what you'd need to even make a dent into even getting this out there. And what would make people just dump the whole system they have at the moment, though they know it's corrupt?
Well, I think they know it's corrupt, but I think they're working on the basis of, well, we've always done what the government's told us, we better keep doing it. You know, like the Stockholm syndrome that you mentioned before. Never before in the history of Australia have I ever heard anybody say that they trust the government and they trust the media, except now through the implementation of the greatest weapon known to mankind is fear. The psychologists have shown that after 20 days of the repeated message of fear, people do not have any other way to think. We're now not 20 days, we're 20 months into repeated fear. So what we've got is a society that is trembling in fear, right? Now, I agree with what you're saying, Fanos, 100%. And I know that the media will have, if they could get their fingers into it, they would have a absolute field day, right? They could call us all sorts of things. They could say, oh, we're trying to take the government down. We're domestic terrorists. We're this, we're that, we're whatever, right? Except the terrorists are actually in Canberra. But anyway, one of the key things here is this, that as we go along and get our message out and we have everything in transparency, there's nothing hidden. If they can't find shit anywhere, right, all they've got is their theory. Now, we know what they can do with the media. We've seen it over the last 20 months. I believe that there's two things that could happen that'll turn this on a penny. Is if the World Health Organization's declaration of a pandemic is found to be untrue, and it will be both in Europe and in South Africa and here in Australia. Once that happens, the media has lost all its credibility. They will be the laughing stock of every kindergarten joke you could ever find. And if we tick along and do what we've got to do and build and build and build and build and put the numbers in, keep our head down, put the numbers in, keep our head down. And all of a sudden, if the media can be shown to be on the take, to have no credibility, the lies, the deception, the whole lot, we win. We win. And this is why some of the stuff I've done a couple of videos lately about gather the evidence. And that a lot of that evidence is media-based evidence, because we've got all the data that we need to put a case forward. And we've got a couple of processes that I'm ticking along very quietly with. And one is a writ of mandamus, where we can take the government, ScoMo and his mob, into the High Court. The High Court, under a writ of mandamus, must hear it in chambers. So it's heard in the private. They then, if the High Court refuse to do this, then what happens is, because it'll be heard in equity in the Court of Chancery. So then if they refuse to do that, we would then implement the 12 presumptions of court, which means the entire High Court must stand down. They cannot sit. And once we do that, we then bring in 12 good men to sit in their place in seat of judgment. Right? So we've got that. Now, there's another process I'm trying to I want to talk to some people about setting up the crimes against humanity here in Australia. And this is why we're gathering the evidence. And we have got literally terabytes of evidence available to us. Now, all of this and what's going on with Brad Hazard and the TGA up there today, if the TGA release those documents and prove that they do not hold anything called COVID-19 virus, and they never have, this whole thing is arse up every which way but breakfast. And so we have to have a system in place ready to go. There are so many things going on all over the place that I can't see the government or the media still being standing. Probably by February, I'd say that the media will have collapsed as far as credibility, and the government would have been taken out simply because of their corruption. And the governor, if the Governor General won't do it, we will. And the Governor General's been put under pressure as we speak. But again, he's a puppet, and he's going to have to turn on the hand that feeds him. So yeah, we'll see what sort of man he is.
Look, I'm happy to tell people about it, whatever else, and spread the word about it. But in terms of being a part of it, I don't want to, not because I don't believe in it. I believe the system's too corrupt that I'll even get anywhere.
Well,
I've got that many things I'm trying to do at the moment.
Yep.
One other thing that, and it's not, as I said, it's not that I don't believe in this. I don't believe in the system that we're currently under to allow any of this to even come to fruition to a point that it would actually make an impact. And if it got to the point that it could, they would use deadly force to get rid of it.
If it gets to the point where it can, but we'll already have taken the will of the people away from them, they'll have no choice. And under the Constitution, the army will actually step in and protect the people.
Yeah, but they don't care about the Constitution, mate. Can you see what's happening at the moment? Nothing at the moment is running under the Constitution. We've got the Biosecurity Act, which is a federal law, and we're working under state law when the Constitution says, number one, all laws are subject to the Constitution, and number two, Section 109 states that when a state law is inconsistent with the law of the Commonwealth, the latter shall prevail, and the former shall, to the extent of its inconsistencies, be invalid. The Public Health and Wellbeing Act is invalid. the public the Health Act that the New South Wales government at the current state at the moment is invalid. They know the Biosecurity Act takes precedent because they're meant to be put this imposed on the individual. That's why they've brought in the amendment to say groups of individuals now, because they know they screwed themselves with that. They've been lying the whole time, and they don't care. They don't care that there's a constitution. They don't care what sections are in there. They don't care that it actually says in our constitution all laws are subject to the constitution. They don't care. Everything's fraudulent.
And
it's not an even playing field.
Mate, you're 100% right, and that's why we're going to get this through, simply because exactly what you said there and then, in the High Court, this must collapse. Now, if the High Court won't hear it, we will put 12 good men in who will, right? And at the end of the day, everything that they've done and made public is evidence against them that we will win.
Yeah.
Right? But
sorry.
look, so mate, Fanos, let me put it this way. If you would mention it out there in amongst your groups of people,
I'll mention it. Yeah,
right?
I'll
mention say, look, I think these guys have got a great idea. Go and have a look at it.
Yeah.
Go onto their Zoom calls. If you would do that, and let's see down the track.
Yeah.
Okay, if we start gaining some traction, what we want is people who have an absolute passion for what is right and will not stand for what is wrong. That's you. We need more Fanoses.
Absolutely.
We need more Grahams and Tims. We need people who understand in here the difference of right and wrong. And we're not, like somebody said, oh yeah, you'll get bought out. I said, mate, you got to understand something. I said, I can't serve two masters. I only serve one. And I'm not very good at that. Right? Because, I'm just an ordinary weak man. But I have a passion for what is right. Right? And I have an old saying, I said this when I was running for Fraser Anning. You listen to what every politician says, then watch what they do and judge them by what they've done and not what they've said. And if it is not right, then by definition, it must be wrong. Yeah. You and I and your mates and their families, they know right from wrong. If you're able to support us from that perspective at this point in time.
Yeah. As I said, I'm happy to introduce anything to anybody and put it out there and use my social media channels for that, because that's what all that's about. It's I have the ability to disseminate information to a large group of people.
Yep.
But in terms of being involved with it at the moment, I'd say no, because I don't have the time to invest in something that I don't believe at the moment is going to get to that stage that it would do that. Not because I don't believe in the system. It's too friggin' corrupt that they'd actually allow this to move forward. But I could be wrong.
No, we get what you're saying.
So I'm happy to tell people about it and put posts up about it. But you guys are trying to raise money, whatever else. You said you've already got 7,000 people that are interested. Well, tell 7,000 people to put their money where their mouth is and donate $50.
Well, that's what we're about.
And then all of a sudden, you've literally got enough money. You've got 10 times more money than you even needed to do what you needed to do with this.
Look, mate, I've tried to keep money out of this so far. It's part of it, right? You need to build. Create something to build the system. Everyone wants everything for free. Everyone wants everything for free. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'm on board. And the moment you say, well, we're gonna need to create some revenue to be able to create this, bang! Oh yeah,
You know, why are you doing that for? You know, you say you're here for the people. I'm sorry, mate. Every single government institution doesn't run without money. Every single foundation that makes anything happen makes it happen because they raise funds. So if people believe in it, invest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And look, we're about to put a donation up and ask that. Yeah, mate.
Graham, I've got an EFT client just turned up.
You're right, mate.
All right. So sorry to have to leave early. Fanos, great to see you again, mate. And thank you so much for everything that you've done and the voice that you've put out there. Yeah, mate, I just want to say thanks. When Australia needs more of you.
Absolutely.
Every day of the week. All right.
I appreciate that, Tim. I'll get your contact details off Graham because we had them in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
I'll flick you through a text shortly so you've got them.
No worries. Yeah. Cheers.
See you guys. Bye.
See you, Tim. And yeah, just before we sort of wind up, look, what we're doing, there's nothing unlawful about it or illegal or unconstitutional. We're not trying to be seditious in any way. And for them to paint sedition on us at this stage would be a bit of a stretch considering the way it's been handled all the way through. So all we're doing is creating a tool, a method of doing things and showing it to people. And at this point in time, if you can have a Communist Party or a Nazi Party here in Australia, which we do, and you can have freedom for political expression, what we're doing is reasonably safe. We've fallen into this like unique little place where at the moment, as long as we continue on the same path doing it the way we're doing it, there's nothing lawful they can do. Yes, they can make stuff up. Yes, they can discredit us in the media. Yes, they can do all sorts of things to try to disrupt it. We've just got to try to be a step ahead at all times. We've got to make sure that what we do is move with integrity and present the truth all the time. And we've got to be ready and aware for what's coming. And look, as best as can be, we are. But I put a lot of faith in the Creator. The Creator wouldn't have given us this to bring forth if it wasn't likely to at least change people's minds, give them hope, or be successful. And ultimately, I think we're showing that there is an alternative. It is giving a lot of hope. And I do believe, and people at Wayne Blue, Tim Dwyer, don't sort of jump on board with projects like this very easily. So if they didn't believe that it had a good chance for success, they wouldn't be involved.
Well, I think what you could do is you could organize like a Zoom conference, and I could basically advertise. I could just basically put up a post on my Telegram about it, and instead of me telling people about it, they can
come and check it out.
They can hop on the Zoom call, which is a conference call, which could have like 500 on there.
We do a regular Saturday night meet the team Q&A meeting for the public that want to come in and ask questions of us and find out what we're about. So it's every Saturday night at 7 o'clock. We're talking about possibly changing the night we do it on at the moment, but it is on this Saturday night. So if you feel like coming along or inviting people along, please feel free to come in and check us out. We'd love to have everyone involved. And mate, as Tim said before, I've been watching you too over the last 18 months, and you've done an amazing job. I've got a lot of respect for you. I think to stand in your truth in the way that you do is a very brave thing to do, and I really respect you for it. So thank you, brother.
I appreciate that. Look, I'll try and help you out, man. As I said, it's not that I don't believe in the system. In a perfect world, this would be a fantastic. Because by now, everyone would have voted on this system and got rid of all these bastards. Mm-hmm. They would have said, do you want this do you want these state of emergency laws to continue? Everyone would have said no, and they would have been scrapped. Does everyone still want to wear masks? These are your risks involved. Do you still want to wear your masks? Yes or no? No. Please understand that all decisions made, you are now responsible for anything that should come of it. We all agree? Yes. Right? Well, do we want social distancing to continue? Yes, no. There might be a majority. Yes. No problem. We'll maintain social distancing. Right? At least it would be the people's voice, and the people get to say what happens. Right? It's an amazing system. I've never said it wasn't. It's I don't believe in how, because of the corrupt world we live in, that they'd let anything like this even get to the point where it could be presented to the people.
Absolutely.
So you need at least 150, 200,000 people
Mhm.
on board for this to even get to the point that it could be spoken about. And the best way to roll this out would be roll it out, and you actually have a municipality, a local municipality that runs it.
Yep.
Actually runs with this system, or a whole council area runs with this system, and see how different everything is.
We've looked at options like that. I actually have a way to get it in front of every single Australian person, but that's where the money comes in. If I can do that and put it out there, we've got a way that we could swing the country across within a week. 2 weeks from receiving the money, we'd be looking at 3 to 5 weeks all up, and the country would be back into people's control under the system. It's quite an easy way of doing it. It just, unfortunately, money prevents everything, as you know, and yeah, we've got to do our best to try to just overcome that one at the moment. So
yeah, look, as I said, put something together that I can chuck on my Telegram channel. I can tell people about it. And yeah.
All right, I'll send you links through to everything and get some information through to you, brother. And
well, I'd like a little promo or something written up.
Okay.
That I can share, right? That tells people what the content management system is all about in 20, 30 words, right? Where they can find you guys, what it's all about, all that stuff, all the links, and I'll basically chuck it on my page. And yeah, people can, make up their own minds. But in terms of me getting involved with something like this right now, considering how many things I'm already doing, yeah, I could help you guys, but I'm not at the point yet where I'm fully convinced that it would get to that stage. But hey, as I said, I might be wrong.
Look, I'm not. That's a personal choice. I'm not going to say you're right or wrong or anything. And I understand where you're coming from.
I told you I'd be honest. Yeah.
And that's the one thing I really respect about you. I know you're an honest person. We see that all the time. So, and look, I stand in my truth too. I think, watch this space, mate. I think that you'll see a lot.
I hope I'm wrong.
Oh, look, I'd like to be wrong about everything lately. Unfortunately, I don't believe I am. But yeah, it is what it is. And regardless, I feel I've got a sole mission here. I'm going to continue.
Yeah. That's good.
So, but I really do appreciate the chance to talk to you today and to show you more about the system, explain it with Tim's help.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's a real asset having guys like him involved in it. And I mean, we've got a great steering team. We've got great supporters. It is growing. It's growing rapidly in the amount of time. I mean, I only publicly announced this back in February, and the website only came out about 2.5, 3 months ago. So to get to where we've got to as quickly as we can, if this was a business, we'd be rich. We'd be laughing. It's not, and we're not making money from it. It's costing money and time, but that's okay. It's just someone's got to do it, and unless somebody starts it, nothing happens. And that's what everyone's got to do, is stand in their truth, do what they believe is best for themselves and for the country, and move forward on something worthwhile and of value. And we believe this is.
All right. Well, look, put together a promo or something with that content management background you got there.
Thank you.
That I could use, and I'll put something out for people to key that announce their interest in it.
Appreciate it.
And they can get over to a Zoom call. But you should do, instead of a Q&A, you should do a proper conference where you can have over 500 people in there, and you can literally do like a virtual town hall meeting or something.
We will look into that, and definitely will. So the Q&A, we do it for 2 hours. The first hour is essentially the team explaining what we're doing, what we've been up to, and how it all works. And then the second hour, we bring people in to ask questions of us, and to, it sort of helps people get a better understanding, and any concerns they have, we can hopefully allay or explain away to them during that period as well. So we're trying to create an open forum and direct discussion with as many people. Plus, people's ideas come in all the time, and they add value to what we're doing as well. So we want to have as much involvement in what we're building as possible.
Yeah, no problem at all. All right. Well, as I said, get me the promo and we'll go from there.
Cheers, brother. Love your work. You don't mind me putting this out publicly, what we've just done? Is that cool with you?
Ah, it's all good. Yeah.
Sweet,
It's all
man.
good. It's just
Appreciate
genuine conversation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't have a
yeah.
problem with
Well, as I say, we're not trying to be seditious in any way. We don't want to bring down the
Yeah.
gap. We want to replace them with a better system.
Yeah. No problem.
No harm, no foul, brother.
No
All right.
problem. All right, bro.
Catch you soon, mate.
See you, mate. Get that thing
Bye.
to me. Yeah.
Will
Bye.
do. Thank you.